Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Michael Chiang. I'm going to be the host here today. I'm going to be introducing a very special guest, Brian, in a moment. Before we start, just wanted to thank everyone for coming in this morning and joining us. It's great to have you. So our workshop today is brought to you by the Stony and Brook SBDC. SBDC stands for Small Business Development Center. Little quick blurb about us. We're a free service sponsored by the SBA, Small Business Administration. You can think of us as kind of champions for entrepreneurs, small business owners, small businesses. We have locations all across the U.S., many here in New York. I think your top one here might be the Stony Brook SBDC, but I'm personally inclined to say so. But we have advisors that range from various backgrounds. Myself, I was an entrepreneur in the consumer tech space, built a few apps. So and we have advisors that range also from retail, manufacturing, food. Really, we're here to kind of act as advisors and help consult and add to any entrepreneur on their journey, whether it's launching a new business, scaling up their business, or just working through their next hurdle and getting that business to the next stage. We also run workshops on the regular, and today's series is one of them. A little bit about today's event. Your reputation in life is everything, and your online reputation is everything about you and your business in today's digital world, which is also the world at large. And we have a very special guest here today to talk about this topic. I'm going to introduce Brian Rauer. He's the Executive Director and General Counsel at the New York Better Business Bureau. He's going to discuss a little bit about maintaining good customer relations and just a quick overview of Brian. He previously served as the board of directors of the New York County Lawyers Association, in the House of Delegates for the New York State Bar Association. He's also a past chair of the NYCLA Cyberspace Law Committee, and also previously served on the board of directors for the New York State Dispute Resolution Association and the board of directors for the Association for Conflict Resolution Greater New York chapter. Brian has hosted and presented regular business consumer tips segment on national radio shows. He provides consumer business tips for media outlets, along with an array of programs of hot topics, including cybersecurity, identity theft, online reputation, privacy scam, customer service, and ethical business practices. So long story short, Brian is really the man to talk about this topic, and we're really excited to have him here today. So Brian, the floor is yours. I'm going to be helping support and field any Q&A that might come up, but please take it away.
Thanks. This guy sounds really interesting. I hope to hear him speak as well. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate that. Thank you, Michael. Not necessary to mention all that stuff, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I've presented a lot of programs to SBDC over the years, and it's always been really good audiences with excellent questions. A lot of involvement in Q&A. So I'll just mention, you don't have to stand in ceremony. If you have a question, just let us know the question. You can type it into the chat function. You can unmute yourself and shout it out. I'm happy to listen to that as well. Usually a bunch of people have the same question you may have, so we can get to them throughout the presentation. It's a smaller group, which is good, so we can have like a real robust Q&A. So please feel free. Leslie and I were just talking a little minute ago. She wanted me to make sure that you all knew that we are a national, actually an international organization. So in case anyone was wondering, we have about 100 BBBs located around the country. We service North America, not just the US, but Canada. Pretty much any major city we cover. We can, if you have a complaint against a business, wherever the business is located and wherever the consumer is, we will funnel it to the right bureau to make sure they can handle it. We even opened up a bureau several years ago in Mexico, making inroads there as well. So we can cover your services. And again, our services are all free. They're free to the businesses, free to the consumers. So there's no charge for this. It's considered part of our mission statement. And just to let you know, New York BBB is celebrating its centennial. We're 100 years old this year. Yeah, we started in 1922. So it's crazy to think, but yes, there's a few bureaus that are actually even older than us, but we are 100 this year. So we're very happy about that, proud about that. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention before we go further. And I know we're all here to talk about online reputation management, things of that nature. But I wanted to just generally tell you about certain things just to you do as a smart business owner, a smart business person, and some of the things that we offer for consumers and businesses as well. We started Scams Tracker back in 2015 nationally. This is a whole clearinghouse. It's for reporting scams. Again, it's all free. It's a heat source. You can see on the picture on top there. You can look up, find out if there's any scams in your neighborhood, any of those scam phone calls you're receiving, and you can tell people what your experience has been, and you can warn them about it. And the same thing works in the other direction, where you can check in your area, are there any scams being reported by your neighbors, by other people, and help you avoid those scams as well. So, we view this as really valuable. We've had tens of thousands of people take advantage of this, but look it up, check it out, go to bbb.org, you can click onto Scam Tracker. And if you have a scam you want to share with people, then let them know. Or if you want to check out if there's anything you should be aware of, then you can check that out as well. And it'll show you how many, where they've been reported, things of that nature. So it's a good service. Very happy about that. One of the main reasons we're here is to talk about when consumers aren't happy, whether they complain, what they think about your business, what your reputation is online and offline. Every year we categorize our most complained about industries. It doesn't mean these aren't good industries, but some of them generate more complaints than others. So the top complaint, again, which has happened many years, has been financial services, insurance, over 11,000. That's just for 2021. Telecommunications was second, and then a strong third is online retailers and internet sales and services at over 5,000. Again, you can see the complaints went up. We're talking about over 86,000 complaints. That's just Metro New York, and that's just in 2021. So these are pretty massive stats. And our business reviews shot up as well, which is one of the things we're talking about today, over 76,000. So people are reviewing more than ever. They want people to know about their experiences, good and bad. We get plenty of positive reviews. We also get plenty of negative reviews. We didn't always offer reviews, but a lot of businesses said, hey, what about all of our happy customers? Shouldn't they have the ability to post that? It shouldn't just be about complaints. We listened. We spent a lot of time making sure we were getting it right and doing it the right way. And for many years now, we've accepted reviews, and there have been a huge number of positive reviews about businesses. It isn't just a place to complain. It's a place to honor businesses that are doing a good job. And that's a nice thing. And we encourage that. If you had a great experience, you earned a good review. That's a good thing. So don't just think negative. It's not just about complaints. It's about reviews as well. So in case anyone wanted to know or they're guessing, this is the full top 10 list. If anything jumps out at people there, some of these, every now and then we have new ones pop in. Some cases they're old standbys that have been on this list for many, many, many years. But this is our list, and we can provide more information if anyone has an interest right on our website. But when people come to us and we see, again, you see our tens of thousands of complaints, what is it really all about? I will tell you, there's a reason why mistreatment is up there in very large font. It's amazing how that is what is woven throughout most complaints we receive. It can be a 5-page complaint, and on page 4, we find out what really happened. The first 3 pages are complaining about how they were treated. They mistreated me. They weren't respectful of me. They wouldn't return my phone calls. They ignored my emails. They were rude. They were condescending. Oh yeah, and I didn't get my refund. And that's really what it was all about. I didn't get my refund, and we got to go to page 4 to find out, because they were so upset about how they were treated. It's amazing how someone will view a business if they were treated respectfully, even without that refund. It just get that respect, give them a chance to talk. It makes all the difference in the world. So I'm just letting businesses know and people know that that is something that is woven into most complaints, how they were treated. It isn't just whether or not they got a refund, whether or not they answered their phone. It's how they were treated once they got on that phone call, once they responded to that email, and how did they treat that consumer? Did they feel respected? Did they feel ignored? And again, inadequate complaint handling. In this day and age, I'm still floored by businesses that make it purposely difficult to reach them if there's a problem. There's no positive in that. Maybe 20 years ago, and it wasn't right then either, by the way, they said, oh, you know what? I'll ignore it. It'll go away. It's not a big deal. It's one customer. They're not happy. They'll stop bothering me. Well, now they're telling the world about their experience. You don't get back to them, they're going to post it online everywhere they can think of, every site they can think of, and now it's you and 50,000 people looking at your complaint. It's not just them telling one or two neighbors. It's all changed. It's not like it was 20 years ago. And it was wrong then, but it's wrong now on a larger scale. When you do that, you really want to have a debate with everyone online about your business and its inadequacy. It doesn't work very well. You can see a lot of the other things there, lack of personal contact information. On your website, everywhere you have in your social media, give them multiple points of contact. Make it incredibly easy to call you, to email you, and then you respond back as soon as you can. It makes all the difference, I'm telling you. Been doing this for a lot of years, and that is one of the biggest complaints. I couldn't reach anyone. They're at a 2 out of 10 in anger. And then by the time they reach someone a week later, they're at 10 out of 10. It didn't have to do that. You escalated it needlessly. A quick 2-minute phone call could have saved you hours of aggravation dealing with a matter. So even if you look at it from a time perspective, you're saving time dealing with it before it's a bigger issue. But we see this all the time. I've talked about this for a while. Again, it's all about being treated with respect, responding quickly. This is what builds your reputation. And again, we're going to talk about your online reputation, but it's amazing how fast it can go south. And it's amazing how you can repair it with just a few really quick, simple steps. Things that just, again, it doesn't get repaired automatically, but how much differently you can be perceived if you just treat people in a way that shows you care about their problem, whether or not you agree with them or disagree with them. And it's all about repeat business, customer loyalty now. Again, it's become a different way of people marketing themselves. There's a lot more challenges. We've heard from business after business about the problem with staffing, and the labor shortage and things like that, and the supply side and all these things. And a lot of businesses are struggling with that. And you know what? You want to retain your customers. That's a huge issue right now. And if you don't treat them in a way that they don't feel respected and cared about, you're going to lose them really quickly. So it's a matter of training. If you have 5 people who work for you, they have to be able to give the same answer for a policy question every time. It can't be whoever answers the phone gives a different answer. Or, oh, you spoke to someone who was respectful. Oh, don't speak to the rude one. You speak to someone who's rude, you're having a bad day. It can't be luck of the draw, whoever answers the phone. All your staff have to be trained in the same way and be just as respectful. Consistent policies. Again, complaint handling procedures have to be in place, because when you hear about the complaint for the first time, it shouldn't be on Facebook or Instagram or wherever anyone posted it or they're tweeting about it. That can't be the first time you hear it, or from us. They'll go to us, and that's fine. We're happy to help. But in many cases, we get that complaint because no one responded to them. No one helped them. That's why they complain to us. Sometimes we're the first option. They go to us directly because they know about us. That's fine. We encourage them. We encourage consumers to first talk to the business. We've said that for years and years. We want them to have that interaction. Once it escalates, it's already kind of going a little bit south. So the bottom line is that usually it's because they failed in speaking with a consumer or making it easy to talk to them, and that's why a formal complaint gets filed. No one took the time to call them back or to resolve their issue. And I will say in some cases, there's simply a he said, she said, where they can't resolve it, and we're here to help. And other organizations that provide dispute resolution services, they're there to help. But often that's because it failed at the initial point of contact where they were trying to resolve the issue before it escalated. And again, I stress this. You can really turn a negative into a positive. You should never be the one who's very dismissive about this, condescending, It's funny, but when you have a phone call from someone really angry, and the first thing you do is you have a condescending attitude and you dismiss what they say as not being important, or it's all on their mind, you've lost that conversation. You've lost it in the first 30 seconds. The fact is that when I have someone who calls, if they're angry about something, the first thing I want to do, it's very cathartic, is let them get out what they want to say. Never say, let me stop you right there. No, don't stop them right there. They want to tell you what's wrong and they're going to feel better about it. Give them their 5 minutes. And when they're done with that, the fact is, if it's a big deal to them, it's a big deal to me. It should be a big deal to the business owner. I'm upset because they're upset. And I want them to know I'm on their side working this out. Whether I ultimately agree with them is not the point. The point is that they're upset over something, so it should bother me that they're upset. I shouldn't be dismissing it. It's real to them. If they misread our policy, that's okay. But it's still real to them. And as soon as you dismiss that, as soon as you're condescending about it, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Obviously, you know what you're talking about. I mean, it doesn't work, okay? I'm legitimately, when they know that when they're talking to me, I'm legitimately sorry that they're this upset. something happened that caused there to be a rift, that caused there to be a problem. And I want to talk about it. And as soon as they know that it's as important to me as it is to them, it changes the tenor of the conversation. Usually they'll kind of lower their anger level, their frustration level, when we have a conversation. Even if at the end of that call, you're not helping them in terms of giving them a refund, or you can't give them, a credit or things like that, they often feel good knowing they were heard and they were respected. And it can still be a successful conversation, even if ultimately you don't agree with the policy interpretation, but it's how they were treated. And again, I stressed accessibility. You want them to talk to you. You don't want to avoid this. You don't want to have them call you 6 times. Make it really, really easy to contact you with a problem, because the faster they call you about something that's bothered them, the less chance it has of escalating. And again, quick, professional, don't let it wait. These are just basic things before you even get online. Once it gets online, it's kind of already escalated a little bit more. And again, I talked about, this is called emotive management. I've lectured in dispute resolution over the years a lot, and this is something I've really, really highlighted, is that, you can not agree with someone, but still be sympathetic. You can say, listen, I sense this has been a very long and frustrating process for you. If I were in your position, I think I'd feel the same way. I get it. I understand that. You're never saying you're right and I'm wrong. You're never saying we messed up, we shouldn't have given you a refund. And by the way, if you did, admitting that goes a long way as well. A simple apology goes a long way as well. It's amazing how often a consumer just wants to hear, I'm sorry. I am so sorry you waited an extra 2 weeks for your product. I'm so sorry that happened. It should never have happened. That's us. That's on us. But digging your heels in, for the point you don't have to admit that you did something wrong, doesn't help anyone. It's not helping you. It's not helping your customer. It makes you look like you don't care. And the entire thing is you kind of won that battle because I've proven I'm right and you've lost the war. They're not going to be your customer anymore. They're not going to trust you anymore. So emotive management is huge in this. And reflect back. Say, listen, make sure I'm understanding this. I think what you've said is you tried calling 5 times. No one responded to you. I think you got the wrong item. I want to make that right. Am I getting this right? So you're letting them know, you're first of all making sure that you're getting it accurately. And secondly, you're checking in with them and showing them it's important enough for you to get it right that you're going to reflect back to them exactly what you heard. Did I get that right? It shows that you're putting this as a measure, you're giving a measure of importance, which is nice. And by the way, you also want to find out what the real issue is, because again, at times they can be ranting and raving about something. Often it can be justifiable if no one's ever gotten back to them. But you really have to drill down exactly what the problem was, exactly what they're seeking. And sometimes it takes a few well-placed questions to understand exactly what they're seeking from you. And by the way, again, goodwill gestures, basic things. We've had businesses, smart businesses that have said, listen, we don't think we did anything wrong, but we're making goodwill gesture. We think the customer will appreciate it. And they've ended up retaining a customer that way. They've been very happy. They end up being very positive with the business. And so a business, took that extra step, and whether they thought they were right or wrong, they kind of decided, you know what, it's worth it to us to treat the customer in a certain way as a goodwill gesture. And often you've retained that customer. They feel better about you, and they're going to post online and tell people how well they were treated by this business. And then there are others that decide they don't want to do that. That's really up to them. It's your choice. But there have been businesses who've decided I'd rather err on the side of caution with my consumer, give them the benefit of the doubt, and that often pays dividends in terms of how they feel about the business. So, oh, by the way, these are just a few things I wanted to let you know that we'll often hear about. What generates a lot of these complaints? Policies that aren't posted, inconsistencies, warranties that aren't followed. They're never communicated. And again, you have to tell people, if you have a warranty, you have to tell them beforehand, not after they made the purchase. If you have a no refund policy, you can't tell them that after they made the purchase. And a lot of online companies don't do this very well. You can't, this is supposed to be something that's at the point of purchase beforehand. You can't have, when they get a receipt, it says no refunds. You have to know before you spent your money, there's no refunds. And by the way, in New York, you're not required to give people all their money back. That's not a requirement, but you have to have a clearly stated policy. And then when that's your policy, then you are required to follow that policy. So the bottom line is that if you have a 7-day refund policy, you have to convey that policy, then you have to comply with that policy. If you have a no refund or exchange policy, you have to tell people that beforehand. So the big thing is notification can't surprise. That's when you have a problem, is when you don't do that. And very often when it's not clear, that's when it spurs all these complaints. Or these, hidden, I call it mice type terms and conditions. Everything is in 20 font on your website, and then in 2 font where no one can read it, you take away all their rights and change all their policies and all the procedures, and it doesn't work. You say, well, we have a 30% restocking fee, but it's in 2 fonts so no one can see it. No one knew you had a huge restocking fee. That doesn't work. Or it says you know, a lot in these late night ads, $8.99, and then you have in tiny font 4 easy payments of plus $28 shipping and handling. So you're paying $50 and all you saw was $8.99. You're not helping anyone. It's great. It's a come-on offer, but in the real world, it doesn't actually work. It generates a lot of complaints. So these are a lot of the things that anger people, rightfully so, and that's what generates these complaints in the first place. So those are some of the basics on that. So I'll tell you, when you get to your website, and you know, one thing to realize is that I think the stat is about 75% of customers judge a business by its website. Think about that. So if that's how you're viewed to the world, take a look at it. Is it refreshed? Is it old? We're going to talk more about this, but you know, is the information even current? We've had so many complaints that happened because they promised a sale. The sale was in 2018. They haven't updated since 2018, and all that people saw was the sale. Oh, we forgot to take that down 4 years ago. If there's no longer a sale, then take it down. If you have, you know, posts that are up there that are really old, take them down. Promotions that have expired, remove them. Okay. And by the way, and we get this question as well, you know, truthful, ethical advertising, marketing, it's not just something that you're required to do on your website or on paper or in print. This is social media. It requires it as well. So in terms of the advertising rules and regulations, they absolutely apply to social media. If you can't say it on your website, you can't say it in social media. You can't say we have the lowest price in New York State if you don't. And then you said, oh, it's okay, I just tweeted that, or I just put it on my Facebook account. It doesn't work. It's not a free pass. It's still the same application there. Okay, so landscape of your web presence, and you know, look yourself up. I know a lot of businesses probably do this on a daily basis, but many actually don't. A lot of the mom and pops never do this. What are people actually saying about you? What do you look like online? What's your reputation? Sometimes it surprises companies in the wrong direction. They thought they had a wonderful reputation. They Google themselves and the reputation is not what they thought it should be. And you have to wonder why that happens. So again, this is great. This is a nice thing. This is not. And again, that language, which I don't like and don't like seeing, that's often dressed up. Often the language is a lot worse than that when they had a bad experience and when they post about your business. But you don't want to be surprised about this and find out. Check out your online reputation. Go to the social media platforms. What are your consumers saying about you? If anything, if you have no presence at all, then maybe you have some work in terms of building up a social media presence and an online presence. But often you may have one without realizing it. And so you want to know your strategy. What is your reputation? If you think you have wonderful customer service and your reputation online absolutely does not reflect that, you're getting 2-star ratings everywhere. People are talking about how negatively you treated them, and you don't think this is at all your reputation. Find out why. Why is there this chasm between how you think you operate and how you think you're treating your consumers and what they actually think about you or what's being posted? So we mentioned the website earlier. Again, this is one of the main ways people view your company. And if you don't even have one, by the way, in this day and age, that's a tough thing. That really is often one of the main ways people will find you, when people will look at you and judge your company. I stress mobile friendly. I think it's about 90% of all web searches are starting on a mobile device now. So when I say mobile friendly, if someone clicks through and they're looking at it on a computer and they want to click to mobile, or they're looking you up mobile and it isn't mobile friendly, it won't load right, it won't look right, it won't read correctly, it'll just be a mess. So you want, and again, talk to an IT person or whoever's working your website. If it's you want to make sure that your website is mobile friendly, because that is the majority way people are looking you up. It's starting from their mobile device, it's starting from their cell phones. So again, updated, visually appealing, striking. You know, again, it shouldn't just be cut and paste. I've seen this all the time where these cut and paste job websites where you can see the language they filled in was basically the filler language. They never even changed it. I've seen they forgot to put in the name of their company. It basically says, insert your name of your company here. No one wants to see that. If it doesn't really describe your products or your services, if it's not personalized, if it basically is a cookie cutter website that isn't adapted to anything, it's not going to make you reflect very well with your consumers or potential consumers. When I say is it ADA compliant, that's the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's a big issue. You want to make sure that people who are visually impaired can still work with your website. People who aren't able, who are hearing impaired are able to. But you want to check that out, and you can talk with anyone who's either a web designer or an IT person and find out if your website is actually ADA compliant. It's a legitimate issue you should care about. And again, if you have a lot of social media accounts, if you have a Facebook account, a Twitter account, are they linked? If someone's on your website, can they immediately link to your Facebook account or to your social media or TikTok, whatever you happen to be using? But if you have old ones and they're bad links, remove those. But go back and take a real hard look at your website. If you haven't looked at it in 5 years, from this perspective, I mean, you probably look at it regularly, but if you haven't really examined it, how does it read from a consumer's perspective? Someone who's never seen your services before. If I Google your company and this website pops up, does it make me look impressive, or is it embarrassing? Is it something where it's old? It doesn't say much about my business. It's not current, no current posts, things like that. You want to really check it out and see how it looks from kind of a fresh perspective. I also stress, again, you want to link all those accounts. And this goes without saying, if you have former staff members, make sure they don't have any access to any of your accounts, any of your social media accounts. That can be a very bad thing if it's a disgruntled employee, obviously. Again, I'm using the term CRM, which is social customer relationship marketing. It's a big deal. User-generated content for people who are millennials, and that's often a very sought-after demographic. This is going to be your most relevant social media UGC demographic. This is user-generated content, which is blogging and status updates, and again, they're doing reviews, whether you want them to or not. They're doing reviews about your company, about their experiences. These are their peers, and these are the people they look to when they want to use a company or not use a company. They want to eliminate a company as an option, a business that they're going to use or not use. They're looking at user-generated content, particularly those in the millennial areas there in that age group. That is the main way they're going to form an opinion about who you are as a business. Again, this is the way they're looking you up. This is the way they're judging you. The days of someone simply, looking up in the yellow pages and who's listed first, those are long gone, obviously. They're going to research your business. They're going to find out what you look like online. They're going to find out what people are saying about you. And that's going to be user-generated content. So that's what you're caring about. That's what you're looking about. Again, they're all over the place, whether it's blogs or discussion boards, basic email marketing, business networking places. There are a lot of those out there as well. A lot of the online review sites. The last thing you want to do is not know where you're listed, not know what you look like, and not know what people are saying about you. But they're all over the place now. And by the way, you could say, well, I never listed myself anywhere. It doesn't matter. If you're online, they will usually list you anyway. Third-party sources, they're not calling and asking your permission. They're going to list you, and you're going to end up being listed on a number of directories without even knowing it. So the big thing you can do is find out those directories, see how you look in the directories. Is it updated? Does it have my perspective, my information? Can I explain more about my business? Make myself look, the way I want to look online accurately. If it doesn't really represent who you are as a business, change it. So again, these are the online directories. Look yourself up. Some of them you may have signed up for, by the way. You can be part of membership organizations, and that's great. But go back and look. Say you became a member 5 years ago. You've never updated yourself on there. Do they have your current email, your current phone numbers there, your current address, current website? They let you say maybe a little blurb about yourself. Is that current, or is that something you used to say about yourself years ago? How do you look on that membership directory? Check it out. And again, ones that you know about, ones you signed up for, and then there could be many that you're not aware of. That simply, reconnect with them. I say, stay online, stay on top of it, see how you look with those, make sure it's not antiquated stuff. But again, it's the ones that you don't know about. You might be very surprised at how many directories you're actually listed in without realizing it. And then you want to say to yourself, my God, if I'm already on the directory, at least I want to make sure it's accurate and it lists me in a positive light. And again, a lot of businesses, a lot of people don't know about this. You can actually register your business with a lot of legitimate social media sites that allow it, and they can tell you if there's been a review. So that's a good thing, obviously. You can let people know that, they can let you know if there's been a problem, a positive, a negative. So the last thing you want to do is find out that there have been a bunch of negative reviews out there and you weren't aware of them. You never responded. And by the way, if it's positive, wouldn't it be nice to say thank you and engage with the consumer that way? So it's both directions. So register your business wherever they allow you to do it and find out immediately if someone's done this. And then again, there's a keyword notification, whether it's your name, the business's name, the key products that you have, other things that will let you know. Wherever those go up, you'll get an alert as well. So again, register, keyword notification, you can get ahead of it. So if there's someone who has a problem, they've already posted about it, before it gets worse, before they get even more annoyed with your business, reach out to them, respond to it immediately, state your case, be the professional. But how are you going to know about it unless you're checking it out? I spoke to so many businesses over the year that had no idea that they were listed certain places, that there were people making negative reviews about them. They had no idea. They were never checking it out. So the fact that you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And the last thing you want to do is find out that 6 months ago you had 5 negative reviews and you never responded because you just simply didn't know about them. So I really encourage you doing this. Basic email marketing, again, with your customer list, the ones that, again, if they opt out, if they don't want you doing that, don't start phishing people and don't send spam emails. No one wants those. They're not permissible. But I'm talking about your current customers you're doing business with. Let them know if there's been any changes in how you're operating, your business hours. You can invite them to follow you on social media if you have a very active Facebook account or a Twitter account. Don't pummel them with emails. It can end up turning a positive into a negative. They're going to put you on their spam list, and they're going to ignore your emails as soon as they come in. So appropriate emails, not pummel people with emails, but staying in touch with your customers. Oh, we have a new product we're offering. We have a new sale going on this week. Things like that. But stay updated with them. And again, I stress this again: website updated, can't be from 10 years ago. Social media, again. A lot of companies really aren't involved in social media as much as they'd like. And so what they'll do is they'll say, I'm going to change that. And so they suddenly open 5 different accounts, but they can't maintain those accounts well. Being all over social media doesn't work if you can't maintain it. And I mean, when I say maintain it, I mean monitor it on a daily basis, certainly on a weekly basis, and respond. There's no point in having a social media account if you're not going to stay current with it, if you're not going to respond to people when they post or have a question for you. So pick the ones that you care about. If you're going to have 1 or 2 accounts, focus on them. If it's more than just you, if you have several people who work for you, who is your social media person? Who is that person who's going to be responsible every morning and checking out who posted what, who has a question, who had a negative review, who wanted to reach out to my business. But to open up a new Facebook and a new Twitter and a new Instagram and all these things, and then to check them once a month, you're hurting yourself. You're not helping yourself. Focus on the social media one that you think is most relevant to you, and monitor it regularly and be engaged with your customers. The whole point of it is to engage with your customers. So you've got to monitor it regularly, certainly at least I would say once a week, but on a daily basis would be better. Take 10 minutes in the morning and engage with your customers, or post. Even if no one's responding to you, post something. A new interesting post about your business, a general post, something about the industry, something that they may care about, a tip, an industry tip might be good. You're turning yourself into that professional, and that'll be nice as well, and build your following, and then send your customers there. So if you say, well, listen, I opened up a Twitter account and no one cares, well, you have customers. Let them know you have a Twitter account. Share your thoughts with us, and let them know, hey, listen, I'm always making little posts, and I'm always tweeting about consumer tips and things like that, about my industry and things that you might care about. And then you can start building up your following that way. It may not happen overnight, but it can make a big difference. And again, this is one of the reasons many of us are sitting here right now. You can ask for honest reviews. And I think it's funny, but I used to have this conversation with a lot of small business owners, and it's amazing how the large percentage of them are embarrassed to ever ask someone to leave a review. It's interesting. They really didn't want to ever do that. Look, it has to be honest and legitimate. It has to be a real customer. You don't call your mom and dad and say, please post a great review. Call your sister and say, hey, listen, I need some positive reviews. No, you can't do that. But where it's a legitimate, real customer and it's their real experience and it's an honest review, you can make it easy for them. Say, here's a link. If you want to review my company, please feel free to do that. But often if you make it difficult for someone, there could be a laziness factor. If they have to click through 3 different places, they're not going to leave a review. But if you let them know, listen, hey, you've been a customer of mine. This is the service you've had. It's up to you, positive or negative. Feel free to leave a review. Here's 1 click through. Leave a review. That's a great thing. But if you never talk to them about it, never ask them about it, never give them a link to leave a review, you're probably not going to get a lot of reviews. So as long as it's an honest, real review, for some reason, business owners, particularly smaller ones, tend never to engage their customers with this or ask them for reviews. They are reactive, not proactive. And so only once a review actually happens, then they'll react to it after it happens. So, and again, review those directory listings. I stress that. Make sure that you know how you appear online. And again, we've already mentioned a few of these there. I will say on the bottom one, when I say watch that email etiquette, very often we'll hear businesses, they kind of forget where they are. They get less than professional. That's great when you're having a conversation, but there is proper email etiquette. There is being respectful. If you have other people who are emailing on behalf of your business, remember, you're not treating them just as your friends. These are customers. Be the professional. You're not getting into a political debate with someone on a business email. You have to remember there's email etiquette out there. If it's someone who's emailing on your behalf, they are representing your business. So these things matter. It's not their personal email account. It's a professional business email account. And I've often seen it. I'm saying, my God, this person really forgot they're representing a business here. It's not a personal account, and you have to remind people that often. And again, online reviews, these are the numbers. Over 80% read online reviews of local businesses. This is the main source, the main way people are forming their opinions. And again, this is a really interesting one. Almost half are only looking at reviews in the last couple of weeks. So think about that. So you can have wonderful 5-star reviews from 8 years ago. That's great. People are giving that a lot less weight. They don't want to know if you were great 8 years ago. They want to know if you were great last week. Did you do a great job for this customer last month or recently? They want to know that. It makes a huge difference in how they view your company. And you have to wonder, if a company only got positive reviews years ago, what happened? Why did they suddenly stop getting positive reviews in the last several years? So the fact is, don't just rest on your laurels and say, I got a bunch of good reviews several years ago. They're looking more currently now and seeing how people currently view you. So again, check in with them. If you have a customer list that you use, say, hey, listen, haven't heard from you for a while. It's kind of a circular relationship now. Maybe it didn't used to be, but they are your customers. If they've already worked with you, they're continuing to be your customers. Continue to engage with them. It doesn't just end after that one purchase. This is a former customer who can be a current customer, who can still reach out to you, you can still check in with. And you can, again, if you have a direct link to submit a truthful review, that's wonderful. If you make it difficult, they usually won't take the time to do it. So here it's one click if you want to leave a review. Usually it has to be that easy to do it, just a single click. If you have 3 clicks, oh my God, I can't do 3 clicks, there's no way. And then you lost a chance to get a review right there. Make it really easy, facilitate it. And again, other ways to do it, you can text. Feedback through text can be easy as well. A lot of people like doing that, but make it easy to them. So it can't just be, it doesn't have to be just a review. It doesn't have to be an email. Say, let's use text messages. I'll make it that easy for you. We'd love to hear your feedback, positive or negative. You want their honest feedback. They can do it in a text. They can do it in a review. They can go to your website. Make it really easy. And again, as a business owner, you have to be comfortable having that conversation with them and sending them there and making the links there. And when I say the links as well, if they're on your website, make sure your links are current right to your social media platforms. Make sure it's easy. Okay, so again, just kind of encapsulate this, up to date, continue that engagement. And I stress this, respond to all of your reviews. Again, as long as it's a real customer and a real review, whether it's good, whether it's bad. If it's a good review, it's very often, it's funny. I see businesses, they ignore them, not in a negative way, but they think, oh, great, I got a good review. Thank the consumer for taking the time. It isn't just that they said nice things about your business. They took the time to actually go out there and post a review for you. So listen, I think it's common courtesy. They say, listen, I really appreciate that. Thanks for taking the time to tell people about your positive experience. We appreciate that. We look forward to working with you in the future. But it's very often how they don't do that. And if I'm a consumer, I appreciate that, hearing about that. And the bad reviews, again, that's more importantly, you want to make sure that they recognize you're out there, you're not ignoring them, you're responding to them. And I will tell you this, if it's personal, if it's an attack, if you're a small business owner and you take great pride in the quality of your work and someone just ripped apart the quality of your work, it is hard not to take it personally. I get it. So take your time, write down, you get that initial response. They tell you how horrible your work was, how bad your customer service is. You take your half an hour and write down everything you feel about that and your full response, and then press the delete button and never send it, because that will not be the response you want. It's not going to represent you well. It's nice and cathartic for you. Get it out there, but do not press that send. You respond out of anger. You respond emotionally. It will not work. Everyone loses in a case like that. So again, take the time to write it out, then send your real response. And that will be, you are the professional, you are taking the high road, you are turning that negative into a positive. If I'm reading online and I see an online argument between a consumer and a business, wow, does that put the business in a negative light? No one wins when you do that. So you're arguing with your customer, you're demeaning your customer. Was that how you're going to treat me if I'm your customer and I have a problem? It doesn't work. But if someone sees that there is an attack review out there, extremely negative, unprofessional, and you maintain your professionalism, you are appropriate, you took the high road, I'm thinking much more highly about that business. I'm impressed with a business that despite all that, they kept it professional. And by the way, if you can take it offline, do that. Say, listen, I know you have a specific issue. Here's my contact information, and feel free to call me and let's talk this out. I'd be happy to provide you additional information. So often that's helpful to take it offline, particularly if you can see that it's escalating and it's going south at that point. Try and take it offline that way. But in the meantime, again, even the point is not to argue your way out of it and not to argue how you've done nothing wrong. It doesn't work. It just tends not to work. The fact is, accept the fact that they believe you did something wrong. You were taking that high road. You were being appropriate in your response. You were being sympathetic to their situation, letting them know, listen, I'm so sorry you're upset about this. That was never our intent. While this is what our policy says, we can understand if you misunderstood that, and that's a problem. We'd like to make it right with you. And again, that can really turn that around. And by the way, the consumer themselves may feel much better about your business. They started out angrily, and I've seen this a lot of times, where it's a very angry post. The business has a really solid response, very sympathetic to the situation, very professional, immediately offer to engage with the consumer and hear what their problem is. I've seen the consumers repost as a response to that, saying, thank you so much. I didn't realize this. I really appreciate you taking the time. I understand better now. And they'll be singing their praises. So I've seen the same thing in the same complaint scenario where they've really turned it around, and that consumer is not praising them when an hour ago they were angry with them. So it can make a huge difference. Okay, and again, this goes to voicemails, emails, all the contact places. Respond and respond quickly. Waiting 2 days doesn't work anymore. In the old days, you could wait 2, 3, 4 days. Great, you could wait a week. Now, if you have a post or if you have a complaint, respond within the same day. Respond by the next day. You wait a couple days, and again, they're going to post it everywhere. So you could have had a polite conversation with someone about a problem. You could have responded quickly. Then they will go ahead and repost it everywhere they can think about. They will complain everywhere they can think about, and it's really escalated it needlessly because you didn't take the time to respond quickly. Also, I talked about in terms of reputation management, being that expert in your field. You have to actually be someone who has the knowledge, obviously, but take the time. You want to build that online reputation. If you're on these discussion boards or these professional sites, or even just on social media, and people have questions, weigh in on it. If you have a good answer and you have a correct answer, weigh in on it, and people start noticing. Oh wow, I remember that individual from that business, and they had some great advice last time, and they're looking for your advice again. So you're regularly weighing in. You're giving great tips in the business area, consumers, and whatever the industry you're dealing with. People start to look at you as that expert, and when you respond to these things, it really can help build your reputation as well. So think about that if you have that knowledge in a specific area of your industry, and kind of help yourself become that expert in the field in terms of responsiveness. Just make sure you're being accurate and you're giving accurate information, obviously. And again, also in terms of being involved in these online communities, and making sure that you're really out there and building up that online presence. Again, even if you had a negative presence, that can certainly be turned around. If you really get yourself out there, you start keeping things positive, you start being responsive to your consumers. So if there's a few negative posts out there, and over the last 6 months you built up 100 positive ones, it's already outweighed those negative posts from a year ago. But it's not going to happen if you don't get yourself out there. I just wanted to mention this before we wrap up the formal kind of portion of this. If you have people you use, or you're kind of your social media influencers, a lot of larger organizations have these. This is their full-time job. If you're a small mom and pop, maybe it's you or one key staff member who do this. They are your identity. They are your personality. They represent you. Just make sure you have people you trust, people who are professional, people who are appropriate. They've got to be trained to do that, including training yourself to be doing that and be proper with social media. You want to have a social media policy, even if you're a small company. What can and can't be posted if you have someone new doing it. There are people who've had someone brand new who've just started, and they're the ones managing their social media. What can they say about you? What can't they say about you? You can't go ahead and denigrate all of your competition. That doesn't work. Avoid misleading comments. You can post something great about the benefits of your product or service, but if it's not accurate, that's a problem. That's misleading. That's false advertising, and it puts you in a real negative light as well. So again, if you have social media staff, or even if it's yourself, You have to make sure when you're posting that you disclose the connection to your business. You're the owner, you're the manager. That's required. That I have to do that. That, you can check it out with the Federal Trade Commission if you like. I won't speak on their behalf, but you can't talk about how great products or services are, and it turns out you're a staff member and no one knew that. That's misleading. So if you're going to be posting about how wonderful you are, let people know who you are and what your connection is to the actual business, including whether or not they give them free products or services, which we've seen in the past. It turns out, you have to disclose that. If you have these social media influencers and they're getting a lot of free products and services, they have to disclose that they're actually receiving those, just in case anyone wants to be aware of that. And again, I would regularly review, search for your businesses, post to review, and make sure that, when you're talking to people, whether it's you or a person on your staff who's doing this, look at how they're representing you. Look at the post, read it. If they're interacting with a customer, is it professional? Is it appropriate? Did they drop the ball? Did they miss responding to someone altogether? Were they getting snippy with them? Unprofessional, argumentative? You want to stop that immediately. They represent you. Whether or not it's you as a business owner, or you as a manager, whoever's out there, that's how people view your business. All it takes is one person working on social media, including you. And if you're not appropriate on that, you really have to look at how you appear to others. That's how you represent yourself. That's how you represent your business. That's how they're going to view you. So one person who's poor at their job in doing this, it's going to really hurt your online reputation. And again, if you did misrepresent anything, you want to correct those. I just wanted to make sure I put this out there. Don't use anything confidential, proprietary. Again, if you have things that are considered proprietary to your business, to your company, and you have someone who is emailing about them or posting on social media, make sure they know the things that are not supposed to be posted. That's important. But again, it's always about professionalism. No jokes in poor taste. Again, I've seen this as well. They get very comfortable with social media. They forget that it's not just them. This is not your personal Twitter account. This is not your personal Facebook account. This is a business account. So don't start telling inappropriate jokes or having highly charged political conversations, whether or not they represent your business. That's not the point. That's going to be who you are to them. As long as it's posted, that looks like who you are. This is not personal. It's your professional account. It's a business account. So if you have someone who's doing this, they have to know it can't become your personal account. Don't treat it that way. So I've seen that happen a lot, unfortunately. And again, I mentioned this earlier. You can't say it on your website. You cannot say it on social media. It's as if people think they have a license to say anything they want about their product. They can brag about anything. It's only social media. It counts. Advertising laws still cover that. You can't just say anything you want. It's not the Wild West. It's got to still be accurate. And again, if you get endorsements, testimonials, the same guidelines that apply online for your social media as well apply to your website. And again, you can solicit those, but they have to be legitimate testimonials, legitimate endorsements. But again, it's the same rules in terms of social media and blogs that apply to your websites as well. And again, I should mention, by the way, that I think since the pandemic started, social media usage is up about 40%. Again, you have all these people spending more time at home, less time at work, more time isolated in many cases, massive social media upsurge in use. So this is how they're getting a lot of their information. This is the time, if you were ever going to engage before, the last 2 years have proven that it's a crucial time now to engage in social media. And when you're doing so, keeping it really positive. And again, I wanted to mention this. Again, you can check out the rules and regulations on the FTC website as well on these things. Don't present false reviews. There's an industry out there that provides phony reviews. The entire industry is illegal. You can't post phony reviews. It doesn't work. You're violating the law. It's tremendously unethical, obviously. And this includes engaging your staff to post phony positive reviews. Never, ever do that. You can't do that. That is also a violation as well. Don't hire third-party services to post phony reviews. They have to be real. So when we talk about engaging your customers, these have to be your real customers posting legitimate reviews about their true experiences with your business. It will never work to engage or to solicit phony reviews. It never works. It's inappropriate. It's outside the law, and it's tremendously unethical. And again, we've also seen this where we have businesses that have actually taken it out on their customers, that have folks that have filed negative reviews. They said, we are not going to give you a refund because you have this negative review. So unless you take their review down, you don't get a refund. You can't do that. If you have a 5-day refund policy and they're within those 5 days and they have a legal right to a refund, you can't condition giving them a refund based upon retracting a review. It's not allowed. It's tremendously unethical, obviously. And if you're the consumer, you're probably going to post about that as well. This is how the business still treated me. I remember there was a case. It was a facility upstate New York. It was a wedding, and they were telling people they were fining them. If anyone who went to the wedding posted a negative review about the wedding, they were fining the couple $500 each time. Can you imagine such an absurd thing? This was in the papers. This was a real thing. So if anyone took the time to review them, if they didn't like what they said, here's a $500 fine that we're levying. First of all, it's completely unenforceable, wildly unethical. They have no basis to possibly do that. Ultimately, when it became a media story, they immediately retracted it. They immediately kind of dropped the whole thing there. But I've seen a few times where they've actually gone to those extents where they're actually threatening people for filing reviews, trying to fine them. You don't have the right to do that. We have the First Amendment in this country. You have the right to post a review if you want to. If you have a negative experience, that's your business if you want to post that. If you have the right to a refund, you can't be denied a refund because you posted a negative review. It doesn't work. It's completely unethical. And by the way, again, if I'm the consumer, I'm going to be posting about that experience. I posted a negative review. The business contacted me, attempted to fine me, and threatened me about posting a review. That's tremendously unethical. And again, shocking that we've seen this happen, but hopefully those days are kind of past us. They tried that several years ago. A bunch of companies, they had it built into their agreements that you weren't allowed to post a negative review. Again, that's really against public policy. So I think we're seeing less of that, but be very wary if you ever see a business that in order to do business with them, you have to agree in writing you can never post a review about them. I'd be extremely wary about working with that business. That's a huge red flag about how they treat their customers. So, and again, I've seen that listed in agreements. You have a right to, again, as long as it's honest, obviously, you're not, you don't have the right to defame someone. But if it's an honest review, you have the right to post it. That's your business. And if I'm the business, I'm handling it the exact opposite way. I'm respecting the fact that you took the time to post it, and I'm going to try and turn it around and make it a positive thing. Again, always responsive. Again, I always say this, genuine. Again, it's funny, Les, you mentioned the term canned, but not in a negative way that way. But I've had times that I've been on the phone with large corporations, and it had to do with whether it's a product or service, and I can tell they're reading from a script. It is painfully obvious. Dear sir or madam, I am so sorry for the problem that you had. I'm sorry that you're upset, and then basically it ends the phone call. It doesn't work. I still hear this. It's obviously scripted. People want someone who's genuine, who's having a real conversation with them. It makes all the difference. This has to do with training, whether it's yourself, if you're a smaller operation, or people you have will answer your phones. It's got to be genuine, whether it's online or offline, whether it's on a phone call or not. It can't be a canned response. You've got to address the situation, find out what really is bothering them. Don't be condescending, and give them a legitimate response. It takes a huge, it takes a huge amount to overcome if someone believes that you're simply blowing them off, that you're simply being condescending. You've really lost your customer at that point. Again, you want to sound genuine because you actually are being genuine. Makes a big difference. And I talked earlier about this. Don't respond emotionally. It is so hard when someone insulted your services, insulted you personally, not to respond emotionally. I get that. It never works. So again, keep it factual. You be the reasonable one. So say if a third party read this, how would I come across? You're the reasonable one. And again, in the face of a really nasty review, if you're still being positive and reasonable and professional, it makes you look even better, even more professional. So you ask yourself, if someone's looking at someone who is ranting and raving online, maybe being completely illogical, and they see a really professional business response, I think I've already made my decision that I'm trusting that business more and their professionalism and who they are. Don't go down to that level. It never is going to work. And again, really suggest taking it offline, giving them your phone number. Let's have a conversation offline, particularly if it's a sensitive one related to a product or service involved. That's often going to really deflate things and going to allow you to have a real conversation rather than with 20,000 people on a social media website. It doesn't work very well. And again, a quick post. Here's my contact information, my business. I encourage you to call me. I'd love to deal with this. I'd love to talk to you about this further, and let's try and find a resolution here. Make a big difference. And again, there's the old saying there, you have a customer that had no problem versus one that had a problem and was resolved amicably and professionally and quickly. they are often more loyal than a customer that had no problem at all. We've seen this over and over again. You've probably won a customer, and then you know what they're going to do? They're going to post and tell people what a great experience they had with you, and they're going to tell colleagues and friends, listen, I had a problem. They were fabulous. I couldn't believe how they helped me. It made all the difference in the world. I've seen companies that just drop the ball on customer service, totally unprofessional, and ones that understood that even if they don't agree, that being the professional, that being appropriate, they have won customers there who are then singing their praises, can make a huge difference. Little notice there. I'm happy to open this up. By the way, if anyone has individual questions about their business, I mentioned, Leslie, that I would post this. That's my email address at the Bureau, brauer@newyork.bp.org. So you can certainly feel free. If there's any questions, I'm obviously more than happy to answer any of the questions for people.